My topic says religion and morality politics. Religion and morality politics. I felt excited because if my appearance can sever one of you from the morality crisis in Nigerian politics, then I would have achieved something. Because as we hope and prepare you for a better tomorrow, the politicians are always busy recruiting you to replace them in the same acts that they are involved in future, and we tend to lose hope. Okay, my lecture begins from the premise that Nigeria is a maximum security prison, consciously and deliberately built by Nigerians, and we've submitted ourselves into that prison. That's not the only issue. Inside that prison, each and every one of us is busy trying to make sure that his prison cell is better than that of his neighbor. Nobody thinks about tearing down the walls of this prison so that we can all be free. That is Nigeria. When you talk about religion, from a sociological point of view, we make a distinction between the sacred and the profane. That's how you identify religion in any society. If you were holding your exercise book on your left hand, and you are holding the Holy Bible on your right hand, and you stumble and you want to fall, you probably want to let the exercise book fall so that the Bible doesn't, why the Bible is sacred and the exercise book is profane. What is religion? That attempt by man to seek or supernatural intervention under situations that seem to be above his human capability. There are certain problems that you will face. You don't have to do it in the name of the Father and of the Son before you walk over it. Somebody says an examination for you, and he says 2 plus 2, 3 plus 3, 4 plus 4. You don't have to go to the altar to pray. But when it is quadratic equation, you need prayers. Yes. All human beings tend to be more religious when they face conditions beyond their human capability, because we believe in the existence of supernatural beings who have the ability to assist us and also have the ability to harm us. So everything that we do to avoid the wrath of these supernatural beings and attract their good tidings towards us is religion. When I discuss with my students, there is one sociologist that we all fear. Everybody, once you mention Karl Marx, everybody says, revolution, killing of people, blood and all that. And then you mention Jesus Christ, the message is calm. And even Karl Marx said it, religion is the opium of the mass. I've proved him wrong. Religion is not the opium of the masses. Wherever you have serious social inequality, religion becomes the opium of the people. Even the richest ones buy the biggest Bibles now, and the higher private men of God. Before they step into their cars, somebody casts and binds. Before they sleep, why? They know where they are at the top. And it is possible for you to degenerate to where we are at the top. And so you become even more religious than the top. Under situations that you cannot control, heart attack can bring you down from there. A single government pronouncement can bring you down from there. So religion tells tells us that we have a body of beliefs that tends towards attracting good tidings from the supernatural beings that we recognize. And then the next issue is morality politics. What do we mean by morality politics? Let's address morality first. If you have, picture the being of Satan, the horns and all that. Right. Yes. And your hands are straight out this way. Satan is this way holding one of your hands, and Jesus is this way holding one of your hands. And they are pulling at the same time. What is morality? That standard by which you judge what is wrong or right. What is wrong cannot be known until you know the society that you're talking about. There is no universality in what is right and what is wrong. But every society tries to lay down conditions that will guide the interaction between human beings for the good of all in society, and from there we derive some kind of morality. The discourse on morality has been polarized into realism and liberalism. Realism says, forget about the public. Have you heard of Machiavelli? Machiavellianism. Machiavelli says the end justifies the means. I want to be your president. If it requires my killing half of you, do it. What do you want to be? The president. Do it. By the time you are occupying the presidential palace, that's the end. It will justify everything that you did to become the president. Machiavelli says, when you are planning to despoil a commonwealth, a society, if there is any wickedness that is required, collect it and bank it and don't even stretch it. Shock the people so that they will know that you are a very wicked man and they will begin to fear you. Not only that, when you are there are people who planned to get to that destination with you. And they know you very well. They know how you got there. What must you do to strengthen your position? Begin to poison them one after the other. Yes. Don't ever, you are a stupid leader when you try to be good. Learn how not to be good. That's according to Machiavelli. Poison this one, send this one to a battle where he will be killed. Remove all the people who know you and do not fear you. By the time you finish with that, you now see you are dealing with people who do not know you, who fear you, and will never attempt to question what is more. When you are ruling the people and there is something that will hurt them so much, a policy, send one of your ministers to tell them and begin to implement. And you as the leader step back. When the people begin to revolt and you get so much, you call the minister who told you to go and knock him out, execute him. The people will love you because you saved them from this wicked minister. But you are the one that sent him. Realism. If we leave realism and get to liberalism, liberalism is all about the protection of individual rights as was enshrined in the 18th century era of enlightenment. Individual freedom, individual liberty, as against the dictates of emperors and even the Pope. So when you get to that point, you will now realize that there is what we call the common good. Aristotle will say humans are in search of happiness. Whatever will make them happy. It is not happiness of the few, happiness of the majority. And that's why he says morality exists at two realms. Morality in the individual, what you deem right and wrong. And morality as enshrined by society, what should guide your interaction with your fellow human beings to lead to the happiness of the majority. So that kind of morality is derived from the cultural specifications of what you say is good and bad. For instance, live and let live. That can be a kind of cultural specification of what morality is in a society like Nigeria. We are looking at Nigeria and the politics of morality. Left to us, and I used to believe so, that there is no morality in Nigerian politics. I condemn it completely. There is morality in Nigerian politics. Don't deceive yourselves. There is morality, but that morality is guided by the specific needs of those who play politics. What do I want? I'm now a local government chairman. How do I rise to be the chief of staff in government house? How do I rise to compete to be the governor? How do I move from there to be the minister? How do I move from there to contest for the vice president? How do I position myself so that when there is vacancy for president, I can? That is what occupies the minds of all our politicians. The people are not included in this equation. Structure. The structure must not be destroyed. Why did you put up this structure? So that others can experience better life? No! I put up this structure so that I can see clearly where I am moving to and nobody will stop me. So if we discuss morality in Nigerian politics, we must look for the source of the problem. I know you must have made up your mind between realism and liberalism. If we tend so much towards realism, we will degenerate to that extent where you have survival of the fittest. And Bob Marley now tells us that there is a point where only the fittest of the fittest shall survive. That does no society any good. So we must tend towards liberalism, the happiness of the majority, the good of the majority. Why does it not exist in Nigeria? Why is there no morality in our politics? We've already known that morality is derived from cultural specifications which detail how interaction between individuals should be guided. And we can expand that to how different ethnic groups should be interacting with one another, to the extent that no ethnic group will fear being completely overwhelmed by another ethnic group. Why is there the absence of the kind of morality that we want in Nigeria? The answer is not what's his name again? The giant in literature, Chinwe Achebe, he says our problem is the problem of leadership. That is wrong. That is wrong. Our problem is not the problem of leadership. Our problem is the problem of lack of national orientation. That general philosophy that guides the behavior of people towards one another, whether it is in business, whether you are training, whether you are teaching, in the church, an overarching philosophy which enables you to identify yourself as a member of this nation. If we look at Israel, for example, Israel knows that it has enemies surrounding it, so security is a major issue. And their national orientation is such that everybody plays a role in this security, male or female. You are serving your nation by ensuring that Israel remains a sovereign nation that no other nation can overwhelm. If you go to Japan, they value hard work and solution to problems. And so they say their national orientation can be encapsulated in the saying, good thinking, good product. So in Japan, they are always interested in finding solutions to problems. Thinking, meditating, and solving problems. And from the problems they solve, they derive their national wealth. They don't have oil, they don't have coal, they don't have tea, they don't have gold. It's just that hard work, solve problems, quality products, and we will make our money. Look at America. Equality of opportunity. That's a national orientation. Without equality of opportunity, Obama couldn't have been the president. And so, you can rise from the ghetto to the highest position in America. Why America protects you and gives you equal rights in terms of opportunity. And that's why our black brothers over here, I'm sure you remember some of the tracks. Coming from the ghetto now, we are here. And the other man that has a huge bear said, I woke up in a new Bugatti. The man who says, after every rap, whatever. Opportunity that was offered them right from the lowest part of society. Look at Nigeria, what is our orientation? No, we have national orientation. Agency, not national orientation. If you discover any national orientation in Nigeria, please come to my office. I will give you all my certificates. But we have a national orientation agency that we have spent billions and billions and billions on what? On serving the status quo and helping maintain the existing government. What does the national orientation do? When there is elections, they will teach you vote properly. When rainy season is coming, they will tell you national orientation, do not stand under trees, thunder will strike you. When that is not national orientation. A national orientation is stronger than the presidency. Yes. A national orientation tells Mr. President, this is not tolerated in this nation. The national orientation tells the army what to do and what not to do. The national orientation controls politicians. The national orientation binds you and I so that I will know why I should be in the dissemination as somebody from Maiduguri. The national orientation will also explain the terms of engagement between me and the Yoruba man as we claim to be from the same nation. Because the national orientation is lacking, each individual politician fills the gap with his morality. And so, we have had series of administrations where everything can be described as chaos. including the current administration. It is all in your phones what the members of the House of Assembly and Senate are earning. It is in the public domain that Nigeria used 90 billion to support Hajj, a personal religious commitment. It is in the public domain that this particular government came in and triggered spiraling inflation. In a society where there is national orientation, we will not be arguing. If we raise it to 60, some individuals will not be able to pay. Some state governors may not pay. It is a tripartite agreement. It is not a tripartite agreement. It's an agreement based on the purchasing power of workers determined by the rate of inflation. And when you agree on any salary, you will now index it. That is what the national orientation specifies. When you index the agreement at level 16 inflation, the government will now be told, if you don't want to increase salaries, hold this inflation at 16. If it increases by 20%, you have 20% wage increase automatically. And so what does the government do? The government makes every effort to hold down the inflation in order not to pay higher wages. So when we are discussing religion and morality politics, we tend to say, if we are able to get more Christians into positions, if we are able to get Muslims into positions, maybe their religious beliefs will make them look at the sufferings of the poor and they begin to implement better policies. That is 100% wrong. You know, bricklayers, they have what you call the mold. So when you want to mold your block, you say either 6 inches without hole, 9 inches without hole, 9 inches solid. It is the mold that will determine this. You will not go and bother about the mixture of cement and sand that you will put inside. That is not the major issue. The major issue is that the mold determines the size of the and nature of the block. So if you want to destroy the shape of the block, you break the mold. You break the mold. If you like, have all the politicians to be Catholics, but will remain in this problem. Nothing to do with religion. Nothing. At least you have evidence. When the youth in the Niger Delta started making trouble, that way was when Pastor Chris was reigning everywhere. And they said the Niger Delta youth a night with Pastor Chris. They went there and stayed all the time. Did that solve any problem? No, because religion does not address the issue of exploitation of oil and then the impoverishment of the Niger Delta. Morality is what we need. When we quarrel along religious lines, we also digress from the major issue. The major issue is, do we constitute a nation? Are we a nation? How do you identify a nation? The first thing is that national orientation. That is what binds everybody. We have agreed that Nigeria is a mere technical contraption made to be because of the selfish economic interests of the British. Yes, but the British have gone and we borrowed the same mold that they use for molding their plots. That is what our political elite are using today. When you get into the House of Assembly, when you get into the Senate, they unite irrespective of their religious divides. What is the major divide? Class divide. The rich to get richer and the poor to get poorer. And so many people say if we want morality in our politics, we must pray and pray and pray. Because these things take place at the level of principalities and they are made manifest. You had my younger brother say it, Odumeje. He was here and the Naira was rising and he did something, the dollar came down. Then he left for Britain. While he was there, Naira rose and he came back. My brother Odumeje is quiet now. He has used Lamande, he has used Saganisa. Let me tell you why Gandisa and Gandisa will not work. You see, the same situation, social situations that encourage religious fanaticism also encourages armed robbery, also encourages ritual murders, also encourages yahoo. What is that fertilizer? Poverty. When you have 10% of the people like Nigeria living in the skies, super rich, and you have 180 million people that are subjected to concrete poverty, armed robbery will be on the increase. Religion will be on the increase. Why? When you calculate the things you want to achieve in life, and you assume that God allows you to live and die 5 times, and you work diligently, you can never achieve those things because of the minimum wage and other conditions of existence. So how do you think you can make it? That's when you become a victim of religious pronunciations. God asked me to make 5 million millionaires out of. Claim it and stand up. You will stand. But if you go to a place like Japan and tell them you want to make millionaires and they should stand up, they will not stand. Because they are not subjected to that level of poverty where they are not drowning people and they don't clutch at anything that passes by. So we have a nation now marked by severe poverty, severe destitution. Don't expect morality in anything. There will be a time when your pot of soup will be in the kitchen. Somebody will walk in and carry, are you stealing this? Yes, I'm stealing it. And what will you do?
It does happen. Does happen, correct?
But we will not lose hope. I'm not telling you not to pray, that prayers do not work. No, that's not the message. I'm a sociologist. I look at what people do. I don't question the existence of God, but I question what people do in the name of religion. So when we talk about religion, yes. Yes. It can help in a lot of... In fact, as I said, Jesus Christ and Karl Marx, we are going to the same destination, but they chose different routes. Karl Marx was going through the revolutionary route. Christ was converting people. Leading to that heaven where we will all be peaceful and equal. And Karl Marx was also envisaging a society where there will be no class exploitation and we will be a free society. Humanity will be for the best. However, we must learn to identify our problems and address them properly. The issue of religion is good. God can do a lot of things for us beyond our human capability. But what about that which is within your human capability? Have you exhausted it? Morality is good. Morality is recommended. Morality guides us in our everyday interaction with our fellow human beings. And the Bible says it, do unto others as you will have them do unto you. So we expect our leaders to have that moral conscience to say, I am here to protect the commonwealth. It is not your money. When you say the government is offering 60%, it is not government's money, it is our money, our commonwealth. Morality should be there. And when you reward in such a way that you don't create inequality, Nigeria will be a peaceful society. The message is not for those that are already in politics. I'm addressing our future leaders here. And I know that some of you are already lost. We are making effort to see whether we can drag you back. I don't know how many of you will say, I have Professor Frank as my model. I have Professor Ifeanacho as my model. No! Wike is there? Yes. Off your mic is there. Ordinary faculty elections. You don't stay in your rooms and just cast your vote. No, you must be hounded and collectively deceived into believing that somebody's private interest is your public interest. And you are prepared to die for that person. Minor elections, you want to practice what the presidency recommends. Grab it! It is not served as a la carte. We want all of you. We are describing you as future leaders. That's only where God can come in. Disband all these old people and let the younger ones, for once, become the future leaders of this country. But we are saying that when that happens, we would have prepared you to know that you are going there. According to Plato, you have the virtue of keeping away from the public wealth. And we can use training, that's what we're doing here now, to also train you in such a way that you will leave your private property in your house and address commonwealth as commonwealth. If we did that, if there was morality there, people will not be so corrupt that they steal billions and billions and they are even prepared to steal more. I read this morning that somebody who stole salami, about 75 billion, is now pleading that he returns 25 and he will be free. Do you think that man will ever be free? I'm asking, the students particularly. Yes. They will never be free. There are so many children who died because of that money he packed and kept away from our hospitals. In fact, that you're here, that I'm addressing you under this very hot condition, despite of it, that you cannot find Indomie now, which was your last defense as a student, despite of it, we are all suffering. It is morality that will make all of us who are in position know that the common good is superior to individual good. Even Hobbes talked about it in a social contract. So, if I have been able to convince you that religion is good and is important, that's good. If I've told you that morality has two strands in terms of argument, realism and liberalism, you will also be right. My prayer is that those of you who are still engulfed in realism, the end justifies the means, will move away and join those who opt for protecting the common good. Thank you for listening to me.
Please, I think the next is standing ovation. This is a master class. Please keep clapping, keep clapping, keep clapping, keep clapping. Oh my God. Please be seated. I know the MC is supposed to take over, but...
And finally, the politicians that have kept us in the condition we are today, we are aided by most of our professors during the election. And we have the professors as the returning officers. And they are fully aware of what is right and the morality of how things should be done. How do we get things? Although we have had good, like the result in other states, it was also delivered by a professor from Pluto. So how do we get all three other professors behave like the professor that delivered in other states? Thank you.
First of all, the national orientation. The national orientation was a product of some very brilliant professors. They met and decided to fashion a national orientation for us. But when it was submitted, they now converted it into another agency where you can help those who assisted during the election to acquire jobs and all that. So the entire essence was dropped. As for professors aiding, where is it? Professors are Nigerians. When you subject somebody to a certain level of poverty, you don't expect that person to. The morality in him, as Wole Soyinka would say, the man died in him. There are some of us that have never gone near any of these. A professor slept at INEC office, praying that his name should be included. My submission is that if INEC knows it is going to concoct election results, why don't you get your INEC directors to announce the results? Why must you include professors? And you might think, okay, let us tell ASU to buy this, it will split ASU. Because some people hope for election year for that money that is given